Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. Chapter 1. Tyler gets me a job as a waiter. After that, Tyler is pushing a gun in my mouth and saying the first step to eternal life is you have to die. For a long time, though, Tyler and I were best friends. People are always asking, did I know about Tyler Durden? The barrel of the gun pressed against the back of my throat. Tyler says, "We really don't die." With my tongue, I can feel the silencer holes we drilled into the barrel of the gun. Most of the noise a gunshot makes is expanding gas, and there's the tiny sonic boom a bullet makes because it travels so fast. To make a silencer, you just drill holes in the barrels of the gun, a lot of holes. This lets gas escape and slows the bullet to below the speed of sound. You drill the holes wrong and the gun will blow off your hand. This isn't really dead, Tyler says. We'll be legends. We won't grow old. I take a 98% consent. I dunk the barrel into my cheek and say, "Tyler, you thinking of vampires?" The building we're standing on won't be there in 10 minutes. You take a 98% concentration of fumic nitric acid and add the acid to 3 times that amount of sulfuric acid. Do this in an ice bath. Then add glycerin drop by drop with an eyedropper. You have nitroglycerin. I know this because Tyler knows this. Mix the nitro with sawdust and you have a nice plastic explosive. A lot of folks mix their nitro with cotton and add Epsom salt as sulfate. This works too. Some folks they use paraffin mixed with nitro. Paraffin has never ever worked for me. So Tyler and I are on top of the Parker Morris building with guns stuck in my mouth and we hear glass breaking. Look over the edge. It's a cloudy day, even this high up. This is the world's tallest building, and this high up the wind is always cold. It's so quiet this high up. The feeling you get is that you're one of those space monkey. You do the little jobs you're trained to. Pull a lever, push a button. You don't understand any of it and then you just die. 191 floor up, you look over the edge of the roof and the street below is mottled with a shag carpet of people standing looking up. The breaking glass is a window right below us. A window blow out the side of the building and then comes a file cabinet big as a black refrigerator. Right below us, a 6-drawer filing cabinet drops right out of the cliff face of the building and drops turning slowly and drops getting smaller and drops disappearing into the packed crowd. Somewhere in the 191 floor under us, the space monkey is in the mischief committee of Project Mayhem are running wild, destroying every scrap of history that That old saying, how you always kill the one you love. Well, look, it works both ways. With a gun stuck in your mouth and the barrel of the gun between your teeth, you can only talk in vowels. We're down to our last 10 minutes. Another window blows out of the building and glass sprays out, sparkling flock of pigeon style, and then a dark wooden desk pushed by the mischief community emerges, inch by inch, from the side of the building until the desk tilts and slides and turns end over end into a magic flying thing lost in the crowds. The Parker Morris building won't be here in 9 minutes. You take enough blasting gelatin and wrap the foundation columns of anything you can topple any building in the world. You can double any building in the world. You have to tamp it good and tight with sandbag too, so the blast against the column and not so the blast goes against the column and not out into the parking garage around the column. This how to stuff isn't in any history book. The 3 ways to make napalm. 1. You can mix part of gasoline and frozen orange juice concentrate. 2. You can mix equal part of gasoline and Diet Coke. 3. You can dissolve crumbled gas liter in gasoline until the mixture is thick. Ask me how to make nerve gas. Oh, all those crazy car bombs. 9 minutes. The Parker Morris building will go over. All 191 floors, slowly as a tree falling in the forest. Timber! You can double anything. It's weird to think the place where we're standing will only be a point in the sky. Tyler and and me at the edge of the roof, the gun in my mouth. I'm wondering how clean this gun is. We just totally forgot about Tyler's whole murder-suicide thing while we watch another file cabinet slip out of the side of the building and the drawers roll open mid-air, reams of white paper caught in the updraft and carried off on the wind. 8 minutes. Then the smoke. Smoke starts out of the broken window. The demolition team will hit the primary charge in maybe 8 minutes. The primary charge will blow the base charge, the foundation columns will crumble, and the photo series of the Parker Morris building will go into all the history book. The 5-picture time lapse. Here the building standing. Second picture, the building will be at an 80-degree angle, then a 70-degree angle. The building is at a 45-degree angle. In the fourth picture, when the skeleton starts to give and the tower gets a slight arc to it. The last shot, the tower, all 191 floor will slam down on the National Museum, which is Tyler's real target. This is our world. Now, our world, Tyler says, and those ancient people are dead. If I knew how this would all turn out, I'd be more than happy to be dead and in heaven right now. 7 minutes. up on top of the Parker Morris building, with Tyler's gun in my mouth while desk and filing cabinet and computer meteors down on the crowd around the building, and smoke funnels up from the broken window, and 3 blocks down the street the demolition team watches the clock. I know all this. The gun, the anarchy, the explosion is really about Marla Singer. 6 minutes. We have sort of a triangle thing going here. I want Tyler. Tyler wants Marla. Marla wants me. I don't want Marla, and Tyler doesn't want me around. Not anymore. This isn't about love as in caring. This is about property as in ownership. Without Marla, Tyler would have nothing. 5 minutes. Maybe we would become a legend. Maybe not. No, I say, but wait. Where would be where would Jesus be if no one had written the gospel? 4 minutes. I tongue the gun barrel into my cheek and say, "You want to be a legend, Tyler? I'll make you a legend. I've been here from the beginning. I remember everything." 3 minutes. Chapter 2. Bob's big arm were closed around to hold me inside, and I was squeezed in the dark between Bob's new sweating tits that hang enormous. The way we think of God as a big, as the way we think of God's as big, going around the church basement full of men each night we met. This is Art. This is Paul. This is Bob. Bob's big shoulder make me think of the horizon. Bob's thick blonde hair was what you get when hair cream calls itself sculpting mouse. So thick and blonde, and the part is so straight. His arms wrapped around me. Bob's hand palms my head against the new tits sprouted on his barrel chest. "It will be all right," Bob says. "You cry now." From my knees to my forehead, I feel chemical reaction within Bob burning food and oxygen. "Maybe they got it all early enough," Bob says. "Maybe it's just seminoma. With seminoma, you have almost 100% survival rate." Bob's shoulder inhale themselves up in a long draw, then drop, drop, drop in jerking sobs. Draw themselves up, drop, drop, drop. I've been coming here every week for 2 years, and every week Bob wraps his arm around me and I cry. "You cry," Bob says, and inhales and sob, sob, sob. "Go on now and cry." The big wet face settles down on top of my head, and I'm lost inside. This is when I'd cry. Crying is right at hand, in the smothering dark closet inside someone else. When you see how everything you can ever accomplish will end up as trash. Anything you uh, anything you are ever proud of will be thrown away. And I'm lost inside. This is as close as I've been to sleeping in almost a week. This is how I met Marla Singer. Bob cries because 6 months ago his testicles were removed. 10 hormone support therapy. Bob has his tits because his testosterone ration is too high. Raise the testosterone level too much, your body ups the estrogen to seek a balance. This is when I cry, because right now your life comes down to nothing, and not even nothing, oblivion. Too much estrogen, and you get bitch tits. It's easy to cry when you realize that everyone you love will reject you or die. On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone will drop to zero. Bob loves me because he thinks my testicles were removed too. Around us, in the Trinity Episcopal basement with the thrift store blade sofas are maybe 20 men and only one woman. All of them clung together in pair, most of them crying. Some pairs lean forward, head pressed ear to ear, the way wrestlers stand locked. The man with the only woman plants his elbow on her shoulder, one elbow on either side of her head between his hand and his face crying against her neck. The woman's face twists off to one side and her hand brings up a cigarette. I peek out from under the armpit of Big Bob. All my life, Bob cries. Why I do anything I don't know. The only woman here that are remaining together, the only woman here at remaining men together, the testicular cancer support group, this woman smokes her cigarette under the burden of a stranger, and her eyes come together with mine. Faker, faker, faker. Short, matte, black hair, big eyes, the way they are in Japanese animation. Skin, milk tin, buttermilk, sallow in her dress, with a wallpaper pattern of dark roses. This woman was also in my tuberculosis support group Friday night. She was in my melanoma round table Wednesday night. Monday night she was in my firm believer leukemia rap group. The part down the center of her hair is a crooked lightning bolt of white scalp. When you look for these support groups, they all have vague upbeat names. My Thursday evening group for blood parasite is called Free and Clear. The group I go for brain parasite is called Above and Beyond. And Sunday afternoon at remaining men together in the basement of Trinity Episcopal, this woman is here again. Worse than that, I can't cry with her watching. This should be my favorite part, being held and crying with Big Bob without hope. We all work so hard all the time. This is the only place I ever really relax and give up. This is my vacation. I went to my first support group 2 years ago after I'd gone to my doctor about my insomnia again. 3 weeks and I hadn't slept. 3 weeks without sleep and everything becomes an out of body experience. My doctor said insomnia is just a symptom of something larger. Find out what's actually wrong. Listen to your body. I just want to sleep. I wanted little blue amytal sodium capsule 200 milligram sized. I wanted red and blue twinal bullet capsule. Lipstick red seconals. My doctors told me to chew valerian root and get more exercise. Eventually, I'd fall asleep. The bruised old fruit way my face had collapsed. You would have thought I was dead. My doctor said if I wanted to see real pain, I should swing by First Eucharist on a Tuesday night, see the brain parasite, see the degenerative bone disease, the organic brain dysfunction, see the cancer patient getting by. So I went. The first group I went to, there were introductions. This is Alice. This is Brenda. This is Dover. Everyone smiles with that invisible gun to their head. I never give my real name at support groups. The little skeleton of a woman named Chloe with the seat of her pants hanging down, sad and empty. Chloe tells me the worst thing about her brain's parasite was no one would have sex with her. Here she was, so close to death that her life insurance policy had paid off with $75,000, and all Chloe wanted was to get laid for the last time. Not intimacy, sex. What does a guy say? What can you say? I mean, all this dying had started with Chloe being a little tired. And now Chloe was too bored to go in for treatment. Pornographic movies. She had pornographic movies at home in her apartment. During the French Revolution, Chloe told me, the women in prison, the duchesses, baronesses, marquises, whatever, they would screw any man who'd climb on top. Chloe breathed against my neck. Climb on top, bunny up. Did I know? Screwing based at the time. La petite mort, the French called it. Chloe had pornographic movie. If I was interested. Amyl nitrate lubricant. Normal times I'd be sporting an erection. Or Chloe, however, is a skeleton dipped in yellow wax. Chloe, looking the way she is, I am nothing, not even nothing. Still, Chloe's shoulder pokes mine when we sit around a circle on the shag carpet. We close our eyes. This was Chloe's turn to lead us in guided meditation, and she tagged us into the garden of serenity. Chloe tagged us up the hill to the palace of 7 doors. Inside the palace were the 7 doors, the green doors, the yellow doors, and orange doors, and Chloe tagged us through opening each door. The blue door, the red door, the white door, and finding what was there. Eyes closed, imagined our brain as a ball of white healing light floating around our feet and rising to our knee, or waist, or chest, or chakras opening. The heart chakra, the head chakra. Chloe tugged us into caves where we met our power animal. Mine was a penguin. Ice covered the floor of the cave, and the penguin said, "Slide." Without any effort, we slid through tunnels and galleries. Then it was time to hug. "Open your eyes." This was therapeutic physical contact, Chloe said. We should all choose a partner. Chloe threw herself around my head and cried. She had strapless underwear at home and cried. Chloe had oils and handcuffs and cried as I watched the second hand on my watch go around 11 times. So I didn't cry at my first support group. 2 years ago, I didn't cry at my second or third support group either. I didn't cry at blood parasites or bowel cancer or organic brain dementia. This is how it is with the insomnia. This is how it is with insomnia. Everything is so far away. A copy of a copy of a copy. The insomnia distance of everything. You can't touch anything and nothing can touch you. Then there was Bob. The first time I went to testicular cancer, Bob, the big moosey, the big cheese bread moved in on top of me in remaining men together and started crying. The big moosey treed right across the room when it was hug time. His arms at his sides, his shoulder rounded, his big moosey chin on his chest, his eyes already shrink wrapped in tears, shuffling his feet, knees together, invisible steps. Bob slid across the basement floor to heave himself on me. Bob pancaked down on me. Bob big arm wrapped around me. Big Bob was a juicer, he said. All those salad days on Dianapol, and then the racehorse steroid, Wistrol. His own gym. Big Bob owned a gym. He'd been married 3 times. He'd done product endorsement. And had I seen him on television ever? The whole how to know what I mean. Wait. The whole to the whole okay. The whole how to program about expanding your chest was practically his invention. Strangers with this kind of honesty makes me go a rubbery one, if you know what I mean. Bob didn't know. Maybe only one of his huevos had ever descended, and he knew this was a risk factor. Bob told me about post-operative hormone therapy. A lot of bodybuilders shooting too much testosterone would get what they called bitch tits. I had to ask what Bob meant by huevos. Huevos, Bob said. Gonads, nuts, jewels, testes, balls. In Mexico, where you buy your steroid, take all them eggs. Divorce, 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 Bob said, and showed me a wallet photo of himself, huge and naked at first glance, in a posing strap at some contest. It's a stupid way to live, Bob said, but when you bumped up and shaved on stage, totally shredded with body fat, down to round 2%, and the diuretic leaves you cold and hard as concrete to touch, you're blind from the light and deaf from the feedback rush of the sound system until the judge orders. Extend your right quad. Flex and hold. Extend your left arm. Flex the biceps and hold. This is better than real life. Fast forward, Bob said, to the cancer. Then he was bankrupt. He had two grown kids who wouldn't return his calls. The cure for bitch tits was for the doctor to cut under the pectoral and drain any fluid. This was all I remember, because then Bob was closing in around me with his arm and his head was holding down to cover me. Then I was lost inside oblivion, dark and silent and complete. And when I finally stepped away from this soft chest, the front of Bob's shirt was a wet mask of how I looked crying. That was 2 years ago, at my first night with remaining men together. At almost every meeting since then, Big Bob has made me cry. I never went back to the doctor. I never chewed the valerian root. This was freedom. Losing all hope was freedom. If I didn't say anything, people in a group assumed the worst. They cried harder. I cried harder. Look up into the stars and you're gone. Walking home after a support group, I felt more alive than I'd ever felt. I wasn't host to cancer or blood parasite. I was the little warm center that the life of the world crowded around. And I slept. Babies don't sleep this well. Every evening I died, and every evening I was born, resuscitated until tonight. 2 years of success until tonight, because I can't cry with this woman watching me, because I can't hit bottom, because I can't be saved. My tongue thinks it has flocked wallpaper. I'm biting the inside of my mouth so much. I haven't slept in 4 days with her watching. I'm a liar. She's a fake. She's the liar. At the introduction tonight, we introduced ourselves. I'm Bob. I'm Paul. I'm Terry. I'm David. I never gave my real name. This is cancer, right? She said. Then she said, well, hi. I'm Marla Singer. Nobody ever told Marla Singer what kind of cancer. Then we were all busy cradling our inner child. The man still crying against her neck. Marla takes another drag on her cigarette. I watch her from between Bob's shuddering teeth. To Marla, I'm the fake. Since the second night I saw her, I can't sleep. Still, I was the first fake. Unless maybe all these people are faking with their lesions and their coughs and tumors. Even Big Bob, the big mousy, the big cheese bread. Would you just look at his curled hair? Marla smokes and rolls her eyes now. In this one moment, Marla's lie reflects my lie, and all I can see are lies. In the middle of all the truth, everyone clinging and risking to share their worst fear that is coming head on, and the barrel of a gun is pressed against the back of their throat. Well, Marla is smoking and rolling her eyes, and me, I'm buried under a sobbing carpet of, and all of a sudden, even dead and dying rank right down there with plastic flowers on video as a non-event. Bob, I say, you're crushing me. I try to whisper. Then I don't. Bob, I try to keep my voice down. Then I'm yelling, Bob, I have to go to the can. A mirror hangs over the sink in the bathroom. If the pattern holds, I'll see Marla Singer at Above and Beyond, the parasitic brain dysfunction group. Marla will be there. Of course, Marla will be there, and what I'll do is sit next to her. And after the introduction and the guided meditation, the 7 doors of the palace, and the white healing ball of light, after we open our chakras, when it comes time to hug, I'll grab the little bitch, her arms squeezed tight against her side, and my lips pressed against her ears. I'll say, Marla, you big fake, you get out. This is the one real thing in my life, and you're wrecking it, you big tourist. The next time we met, I'll say, Marla, I can't sleep with you here. I need this. Get out. Chapter 3. You wake. UPAT Airport. Chapter 3. You wake up at Air Harbor International. Every takeoff and landing, when the plane banked too much to one side, I prayed for crash. That moment cures my insomnia with narcolepsy, when we might die helpless and packed human tobacco in the fuselage. This is how I met Tyler Durden. You wake up at O'Hare. You wake up at LaGuardia. You wake up at Logan. Tyler worked part-time as a movie projectionist because of his nature. Tyler could only work night job. If a projectionist called in sick, the union called Tyler. Some people are night people. Some people are day people. I could only work a day job. You woke up at Jules' Life insurance pays off triple if you die on a business trip. I prayed for the wind shear effect. I prayed for pelicans sucked into the turbine and loose bolt and ice on the wings on takeoff as the plane pushed down the runway and the flaps tilted up with our seats in a full upright position and our tables stowed and all personal carry-on baggage in the overhead compartment as the end of the runway ramped up to meet us with our smoking material extinguished. I prayed for a crash. You wake up at Love Field in a projection booth. Tyler did change over. If the theater was old enough, with change over you have two projectors in the booth and one projector is running. I know this because Tyler knows this. The second projector is set up with the next reel of film. Most movies are 6 or 7 small reels of film played in a certain order. Newer theaters, they spliced all the reels together into one 5-foot reel. This way, you don't have to run to projector and do changeover switch back and forth. Reel 1, switch, reel 2 on the other projector, switch, reel 3 on the first projector, switch. You wake up at SeaTac. I study the people on the laminated airline seat car. A woman floats in the ocean, her brown hair spread out behind her, her seat cushion clutched to her chest. The eyes are wide open, but the woman doesn't smile or frown. In another picture, people, calm as Hindu cows, reach up from their seat toward oxygen mask sprung out of the ceiling. This must be an emergency. Oh, we've lost cabin pressure. You wake up and you're at Willow Run. Old theater, new theater. To ship a movie to the next theater, Tyler has to break the movie back down to the original 6 or 7 reels. The small reels pack into a pair of hexagonal steel suitcases. Each suitcase has a handle on top. Pick one up and you'll dislocate a shoulder. They weigh that much. Tyler's a banquet waiter, waiting tables at hotel downtown, and Tyler's a projectionist with the projector operator union. I don't know how long Tyler had been working on all those nights. I couldn't, on all those nights I couldn't sleep. The old theater that ran a movie with 2 projectors, a projectionist has to stand right there to change projector at the exact second so the audience never sees the break. When one reel starts and one reel ran out. You have to look for the white dots in the top right hand corner of the screen. This is the warning. Watch the movie and you'll see 2 dots at the end of the reel. Cigarette burns, they called in the business. The first white dot, this is the 2-minute warning. You get the second projector started, so it will be running up to speed. The second white dot is the 5-second warning. The excitement. You're standing between 2 projectors and the booth is sweating hot from the xenon bulbs that if you looked right at yet At them, you're blind. The first dot flash on the screen. The sound in a movie comes from a big speaker behind the screen. The projectionist booth is soundproof because inside the booth is the racket of sprocket snapping film past the lens at 6 feet a second. 10 frames a foot, 60 frames a second snapping through, clattering, Gatling gun fire. The two projectors running. You stand between and hold the shutter lever on each. On a really old projector, you have an alarm on the hub of the feel reel. Even after the movies on television, the warning dots will still be there. Even on airplane movies, as most of the movies roll onto the take-up reel. The take-up reel turns slower and the feed reel has to turn faster. At the end of a reel, the feed reel turns so fast the alarm will start ringing to warn you that a changeover is coming up. The dark is hot from the bulb inside the projector, and the alarm is ringing. Stand there between the two projectors with a lever in each hand and watch the corner of the screen. The second dot flashes. Count to 5. Switch. One shutter closed. At the same time, open the other shutter. Change over. The movie goes on. Nobody in the audience has any idea the alarm is on the feed reel, so the movie projectionist can nap. A movie projectionist does a lot he's not supposed to. Not every projector has the alarm at home. Not every projector has the alarm. At home, you'll sometime wake up in your dark bed with the tremor. You've fallen asleep in the booth and missed a changeover. The audience will be cursing you. The audience, their movie dream is ruined, and the manager will be calling the union. You wake up at Creasy Field. The charm of traveling is everywhere I go. Tiny life. I go to the hotel. Tiny soap, tiny shampoo, single serving butter, tiny mouthwash, and a single-use toothbrush. Fold into the standard airplane seat, you are giant. The problem is your shoulders are too big. You're Alice in Wonderland. Legs are all of the sudden miles so long they touch the feet of the person in front. Dinner arrives. A miniature do-it-yourself chicken cordon bleu hobby kit, sort of a put-it-together project to keep you busy. The pilot has turned on the seat belt sign, and we would ask you to refrain from moving about the cabin. You wake up at Maysfield. Sometimes Tyler wakes up in the dark, buzzing with the terror that he's missed a real change, or the movie has broken, or the movie has slipped just enough in the projector that the sprockets are punching a line of holes through the soundtrack. After a movie has been sprocket run, the light of the bulb shines through the soundtrack, and instead of talc, you're blasted with the helicopter blade sound of whoop, whoop, whoop as each burst of light comes through a sprocket hole. What else a projectionist shouldn't do? Tyler makes slide out of the best single frames from a movie. The first full frontal movie anyone can remember had the naked actress Angel Dickinson. By the time a print of this movie had shipped from the West Coast Theater to the East Coast Theater, the nude scene was gone. One projectionist took a frame, another projectionist took a frame. Everybody wanted to make a naked slide of Angel Dickinson. Porno got into theater, and these projectionists, some guys, they built collection that got epic. You wake up at Boeing Field. You wake up at LAX. We have an almost empty flight tonight, so feel free to fold the arms, rest up into the seat back and stretch out. You stretch out, zigzag, knees bend, waist bend, elbows bend across 3 or 4 seats. I set my watch 2 hours earlier or 3 hours later. Pacific Mountain, Central or Eastern Time. Lose an hour, gain an hour. This is your life and it's ending 1 minute at a time. You wake up at Cleveland Hopkins. You wake up at SeaTac again. You are a projectionist and you're tired and angry. But mostly you're bored, so you start by taking a single frame of pornography collected by some other projectionist that you find stashed away in the boot, and you splice this frame on a lunging red penis or a yawning wet vagina close up into another feature movie. This is one of those pet adventures when the dog and cat are left behind by a traveling family and must find their way home. In Reel 3, just after dog and cat, who have a human voice and talk to each other, have eaten out a garbage can, there's the flash of an erection. Tyler does this. A single frame in a movie is on screen for 1/60th of a second. Divide a second into 60 equal parts. That's how long the erection is, towering 4 stories tall over the popcorn auditorium, slippery, red and terrible, and no one sees it. You wake up at Logan again. This is a terrible way to travel. I go to meeting my boss. Doesn't want to attend. I take notes. I'll get back to you. Wherever I'm going, I'll be there to apply the formula. I'll keep the secret intact. It's simple arithmetic. It's a story problem. If a new car built by my company leaves Chicago traveling west at 60 miles per hour and the rear differential locks up and the car crashes and burns with everyone trapped inside, does my company initiate a recall? You take the population of a vehicle in the field, A, and multiply it by the probable rate of failure, B. Then multiply the result by the average cost of an out-of-court settlement, C. At times, B times C equal X. This is what it will cost if we don't initiate a recall. If X is greater than the cost of a recall, we recall the cars and no one gets hurt. If X is less than the cost of a recall, then we don't recall. Everywhere I go, there's food. Everywhere I go, I make tiny friendship. Oh, wait a second. Everywhere I go, there's the burned up, wadded up shell of a car waiting for me. I know where all the skeletons are. Consider this my job security. Hotel time, restaurant food. Everywhere I go, I make tiny friendship with the people sitting beside me, from Logan's to Chrissy to Willow Run. What am I? Is a recall campaign coordinator. I tell the single service friend sitting next to me, but I'm working toward a career as a dishwasher. You wake up at O'Hare again. Tyler spliced a penis into everything after that, usually close up or a Grand Canyon vagina with an echo. 4 stories tall and twitching with blood pressure as Cinderella danced with her Prince Charming and people watched. Nobody complained. People ate and drank, but the evening wasn't the same. People feel sick or start to cry and don't know why. Only a hummingbird could have caught Tyler at work. You wake up at JFK. 1 second. Okay. You wake up. You wake up at JFK. I melt and swell at the moment of landing, when one wheel thuds on the runway, but the plane leans to one side and hangs in the decision to right itself off or roll. For this moment, nothing matters. Look into the stars and you're gone. Not your luggage. Nothing matters. Not your bad breath. The windows are dark outside and the turbine engines roar backward. The cabin hangs on the wrong angle under the roar of the turbine, and you will never have to file another expense account claim. Receipt required for items over $25. You will never have to get another haircut. A thud and the second wheel hits the tarmac. The staccato of 100 seatbelt buckles snapping open, and the single-use friend you almost died sitting next to says, "I hope you make your connection." Yeah, me too. And this is how long your moment lasted. And life goes on, and somehow by accident Tyler and I met. It was time for vacation. You wake up at LAX again. How I met Tyler was I went to a nude beach. This was the very end of summer, and I was asleep. Tyler was naked and sweating, gritty with sand. His hair, wet and stringy, hanging in his face. Tyler had been around a long time before we met. Tyler was pulling driftwood logs out of the surf and dragging them up the beach in the wet sand. He'd already planted a half circle of logs so they stood a few inches apart and as tall as his eyes. There were 4 logs, and when I woke up I watched Tyler pull a fifth log up the beach. Tyler dug a hole under one end of the log, then lifted the other end until the log slid in the hole and stood there at a slight angle. You wake up at the beach. We were the only people on the beach. With a stick, Tyler drew a straight line on the sand several feet away. Tyler went back to straighten the log by stamping sand around its base. I was the only person watching this. Tyler called over. Do you know what time this is? It is. Do you know what time it is? I always wear a watch. Do you know what time it is? I asked. Where? Right here, Tyler said. Right now. It was 4:06 p.m. After a while, Tyler sat cross-legged in the shadows of the standing logs. Tyler sat for 2 minutes, got up and took a swim, pulled on a t-shirt and a pair of sweatpants, and started to leave. I had to ask, I had to know what Tyler was doing while I was asleep. If I could wake up in a different place at a different time, could I wake up as a different person? I asked if Tyler was an artist. Tyler shrugged and showed me how the 5 standing logs were wider at the base. Tyler, Tyler showed me the line he'd drawn in the sand and how he used the line to gauge the shadow cast by each log. Sometimes you wake up and have to ask where you are. What Tyler had created was the shadow of a giant hand, only now the fingers were Nosferatu long and the thumb was too short. But he said how at exactly 4:30 the hand was perfect. The giant shadow hand was perfect. For 1 minute, and for one perfect minute, Tyler had sat in the palm of a perfection he'd created himself. You wake up and you're nowhere. 1 minute was enough, Tyler said. A person had to work hard for it, but a minute of perfection was worth the effort. A moment was the most you could ever expect from perfection. A moment was the most you could ever expect from perfection. You wake up and that's enough. His name was Tyler Durden, and he was a movie projectionist with the union, and he was a banquet waiter at a hotel downtown, and he gave me his phone number, and this is how we met. All the usual brain parasites are here tonight. Above and beyond always gets a big turnout. This is Peter. This is Aldo. This is Marcy. Hi. The introduction, everybody. This is Marla Singer, and this is her first time with us. Hi, Marla. At Above and Beyond, we start with the catch-up rap. The group isn't called Parasite Brain Parasite. You'll never hear anyone say parasite. Everybody's always getting better. Oh, this new medication. Everyone always just turned the corner. Still, everywhere there is the squint of a 5-day headache. A woman wipes at involuntary tears. Everyone gets a name tag, and people you've met every Tuesday night for a year, they come out at you. Handshakes, ready, and their eyes on your name tag. I don't believe we've met. No one will ever say parasite. They'll say agent. They don't say cure. They'll say treatment. In ketchup wrap, someone will say how the agent has spread into his spinal column, and now all of a sudden he'll have no control of his left hand. The agent, someone will say, has dried the lining of his brain, so now the brain pulls away from the inside of his skull, causing seizure. The last time I was here, the woman named Chloe announced the only good news she had. Chloe pushed herself to her feet against the wooden arms of her chair and said she no longer had any fear of death. Tonight, after the introduction and ketchup wrap, a girl I don't know with a name tag that's been saying Glenda says she's Chloe's sister, and that at 2 in the morning last Tuesday, Chloe finally died. Oh, this should be so sweet. For 2 years Chloe's been crying in my arms during hug time, and now she's dead, dead in the ground, dead in an urn, mausoleum, columbarium. Oh, the proof that one day you're thinking and hauling yourself around, and the next you cold fertilizer, warm buffet. This is the amazing miracle of death, and it should be so sweet if it weren't for ah that one, Marla. Oh, and Marla's looking at me again, singled out among all the brain parasites. Liar, faker. Marla's the faker. You're the faker. Everyone when they wince or twitch and fall down barking and the crouch of their jeans turns dark blue, well, it's all just a big act. Guided meditation of all of a sudden won't take me anywhere tonight. Behind each of the 7 palace door, the green door, the orange door, Marla, the blue door, Marla stands there, liar, in the guided meditation through the cave of my power animal. My power animal is Marla. Smoking her cigarette, Marla, rolling her eyes. Liar. Black hair and pillow French lips. Faker. Italian dark leather sofa lips. You can't escape. Chloe was the genius, the canine article. Chloe was the way Johnny Mitchell's skeleton would look if you made it smile and walked around the party being extra special and nice to everyone. Picture Chloe, popular skeleton the size of an insect, running through the vault and galleries of her inner inard at 2 in the morning, her pulse a siren overhead, announcing, prepare for death in 10, in 9, in 8 seconds. Death will commence in 7, 6. At night, Chloe ran around the maze of her own collapsing vein and burst tubes, spraying hot lymph nerves surface as strip wires in the tissue. Abscesses swell in the tissue around her as hot white pearls. The overhead announcement: prepare to evacuate bowels in 10, 9, 8, 7. Prepare to evacuate soul in 10, 9, 8. Chloe splashing through the ankle-deep backup of renal fluid from her failed kidneys. That will commence in 5, 4, 4. Around her parasitic life spray paint her heart. 4, 3, 3, 2. Chloe climbs hand over hand up the curdled lining of her own throat. Death to commence in 3, in 2. Moonlight shines in through the open mouth. Prepare for the last breath. Now evacuate. Now soul clear of body. Now death commences. Now, oh, this should be so sweet. The remembered warm jumble of Chloe still in my arms, and Chloe dead somewhere. But no, I'm watched by Marla in guided meditation. I open my arms to receive my inner child, and the child is Marla smoking her cigarette. No white healing ball of light. Liar, no chakras. Picture your chakra opening as flower, and at the center of each is a slow motion explosion of sweet light. Liar. My chakra stay closed when meditation ends. Everyone is stretching and twisting their head and pulling each other to their feet in preparation. Therapeutical physical contact for the hug. I cross in 3 steps to stand against Marla, who looks up into my face as I watch everyone else for the cue. Let's all. The cue comes. Embrace someone near us. My arms clamp around Marla. Pick someone special to you tonight. Marla's cigarette hands are pinned to her waist. Tell this someone how you feel. Marla doesn't have testicular cancer. Marla doesn't have tuberculosis. She isn't dying. Okay, in that brain food philosophy way, we're all dying, but Marla isn't dying in the way Chloe was dying. The cue comes. Share yourself. So, Marla, how do you like them apples? Share yourself completely. So, Marla, get out, get out, get out. Go ahead and cry if you have to. Marla stares up at me. Her eyes are brown, her earlobes pucker around earring holes. No earrings. Her chapped lips are frosted with dead skin. Go ahead and cry. You're not dying either, Marla says. Around us, couples stand sobbing, probing against each other. You tell on me, Marla says, and I'll tell on you. Then we can split the wig. I say, Marla can have bone disease, brain parasite, and tuberculosis. I'll keep testicular cancer, blood parasite, and organic brain dementia. Marla says, what about ascending bowel cancer? The girl has done her homework. Will split bowel cancer. She gets it the first and third Sunday of every month. No, Marla says. No, she wants it all. The cancer, the parasite. Marla's eyes narrow. She never dreamed she could feel so marvelous. She actually felt alive. Her skin was clearing up. All her life she never saw a dead person. There was no real sense of life because she had nothing to contrast it with. Oh, but now there was dying, and death, and loss, and grief, weeping and shuddering terror and remorses. Now that she knows where we're all going, Marla feels every moment of her life. No, she wasn't leaving any group. No, and go back to the life felt before. Marla says, I used to work in a funeral home to feel good about myself, just the fact I was breathing, so what if I could get a job in my field? Then go back to your funeral home, I say. Funerals are nothing compared to this, Marla says. Funerals are all abstract ceremony. Here you have a real experience of death. Couples around the two of us are drying their tears, sniffing, patting each other on the back and letting go. We can't both come, I tell her. Then don't come. I need this. Then go to the funerals. Everyone else has broken apart and they joining hands for the closing prayer. I let Marla go. How long have you been coming here? The closing prayer. 2 years. A man in the prayer circle takes my hand. A man takes Marla's hand. This prayer starts and usually my breathing is blown. Oh, bless us. Oh, bless us in our anger and our fear. 2 years, Marla tilts her head to whisper. Oh, bless us and told us. Anyone who might have noticed me in 2 years either died or recovered and never came back. Help us and help us. Okay, Marla says. Okay. You can have testicular cancer, big boob, the big cheese bread crying all over me. Help us. Okay, Marla says. Okay. You can have testicular cancer. Big Bob, the big cheese bread crying all over me. Thanks. Brings us to our destiny. Brings us peace. Don't mention it. This is how I met Kamala. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. I am doing a reading of Flowers for Algernon. I am not sure if... no, not Flowers for Algernon. Fight Club. Not sure if you guys watch the movie or like readings. Um, but yeah. You know what? Actually, let's do something. I'll pick up my guitar and play a song for you to welcome you all. Let's try something else. Okay, guys, that was my little gift for all of you coming from apparently what seemed to have been a rave. Hope you had a really good time over there. But I will read you another thing. Chapter 4. The security task force guy explained everything to me. Baggage handler can't ignore a ticking suitcase. The security task force guy, he called baggage handlers drawers. Modern bombs don't tick, but a suitcase that vibrates, the baggage handler, the drawers, have not have to call the police. How I came to live with Tyler is because most airlines have this policy about vibrating baggage. My flight back from Dulles, I had everything in that one bag. When you travel a lot, you learn to pack the same for trip, every trip. 6 white shirts, 2 black trousers, the bare minimum you need to survive. Traveling alarm clock, cordless electric razor, toothbrush, 6 pair underwear, 6 pair black socks. It turns out my suitcase was vibrating on departure from Dulles, according to the security task force guy. So the police took it off the flight. Everything Everything was in that bag. My contact lens stuff, one red tie with blue stripes, one blue tie with red stripes. These are regimental stripes, no club tie straps, and one solid red tie. A list of all these things used to hang on the inside of my bedroom door at home. Home was a condominium on the 15th floor of a high rise, a sort of filing cabinet for window and young professional. The marketing brochure promised a foot of concrete floor, ceiling and wall between me and any adjacent stereo or turned a foot of concrete and air conditioning you couldn't open the window, so even with maple flooring and dimmer switches, all 1700 airtight feet would smell like the last meal you cooked or your last trip to the bathroom. Yeah, and there were butcher blocks, counter hops, and low voltage track lighting. Still, a foot of concrete is important when your next door neighbor lets the battery on her hearing aid go and has to watch her shows at full blast, or when a volcanic blast of bursting gas and debris that used to be your living room set and personal effect blows out of your floor to ceiling windows and sails down flaming to leave just your condo only yours. I got a charred concrete hole in the cliff side of the building. These things happen. Everything, including your set of hand-blown green glass dishes with the tiny bubbles and imperfections, little bits of sand, proof they were crafted by the honest, simple, hard-working, indigenous, aboriginal people of wherever. Well, these dishes all get blown out by the blast. Picture the floor to ceiling, drapes blown out and flaming to shreds in the hot wind. 15th floor over the city. This stuff comes flaming and bashing and shattering down on everyone's car. Me, while I'm heading west, asleep at Mach 0.83 or 450 miles an hour, through airspeed. The FBI bomb squad, my, the FBI bomb squatting my suitcase on a vacate runaway back at Dulles. 9 times out of 10, the security task force guy says, the vibration is an electric razor. This was my cordless electric razor. The other time, it's a vibrating dildo. The security task force guy told me this. This was at my destination without my suitcase, where I was about to cab in home and find my flannel sheet shredded on the ground. Imagine the task force guy telling a passenger on arrival that a dildo kept her baggage on the East Coast. Sometimes it's even a man. It's airline policy not to imply ownership in the event of a dildo. Use the indefinite article, a dildo, never your dildo. Never ever say the dildo accidentally turned itself on. A dildo activated itself and created an emergency situation that required evacuating your baggage. Rain was falling when I woke up from my connection in Stapleton. Rain was falling when I woke up on our final approach home. An announcement told us to please take this opportunity to check around or search for any personal belonging we might have left behind. Then the announcement said my name. Would I please meet with an airline representative waiting at the gate? I set my watch back 3 hours, and it was still after midnight. There was the airline representative at the gate, and there was the security task force guy to say, "Ha! Your electric razor kept your checked baggage at Dulles." The task force guy called the baggage handler drawer. Then he called them rampers, to prove things could be worse. The guy told me, at least it wasn't a dildo. Then maybe, because I'm a guy and he's a guy, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, maybe to make me laugh, the guy said industry slang for flight attendant was space waitress or air mattress. It looks like the guy was wearing a pilot uniform, white shirt with little epaulets and blue tie. My luggage had been cleared, he said, and would have arrived the next day. The security guy asked my name and address and phone number, and then he asked me what was the difference between a condom and a cockpit. You can only get one prick into a condom, he said. I cabbed home on my last $10. The local police had been asking a lot of questions too. My electric razor, which wasn't a bomb, was still 3 time zones behind me. Something which was a bomb, a big bomb, had blasted my clever Nurunda coffee table in the shape of a lime green yin and yang and an orange yang that fit together to make a circle. Well, they were splinters now. My Haparanda sofa group with the orange slip cover designed by Erika Percari. It was trash now, and wasn't the only slave to my nesting instinct. The people I know who used to sit in the bathroom with pornography, now they sit in bathroom with the IKEA furniture catalogs. We all have the same Johannes Shaw armchair in the strained green stripe pattern. Mine fell 15 stories burning into a fountain. We all have the same Rislampa hard paper lamps made from the wire and environmentally friendly unbleached paper. Mine are confetti. All that sitting in the bathroom, the ale cutlery service, stainless dishwasher safe, the wild whole clock made of galvanized steel. Oh, I had to have that. The clips shelving unit. Oh yeah, Hemlig had boxes. Yes, the street outside my high rise was sparkling and scattered with all this. The Momala quilt cover set designed by Thomas Harila and available in the following: orchid, fuchsia, cobalt, ebony, jet, eggshell, and heather. It took my whole life to buy this stuff. The easy care, texture, lacquer of my calyx occasional table. My steak nesting tables. You buy furniture. You tell yourself, this is the last sofa I will never need in my life. Buy the sofa. Then for a couple of years you're satisfied that no matter what goes wrong, at least you've got sofa issue handled. Then the right set of dishes. Then the perfect bed, the drapes, the rug. Then you're trapped into your lovely nest, and the things you used to own, now they own you. Until I got home from the airport. The doorman steps out of the shadow to say there's been an accident. The police, they were here and asked a lot of questions. The police think it may have been gas. Maybe the pilot light on the stove went out on a burner, or a burner was left on, leaking gas, and the gas rose to the ceiling, and the gas filled the condo from the ceiling to floor. In every room the condo was 1,700 square feet with high ceiling, and for days and days the gas must have leaked until every room was full. When the rooms were filled to the floor, the compressor at the base of the refrigerator clicked on. Detonation. The floor to ceiling windows into aluminum frames went out, and the sofas and lamps and dishes and sheets set in flames. and the high school annuals and the diplomas and telephones, everything blasted out from the 15th floor in a sort of solar flare. Oh, not my refrigerator. I'd collected shelves full of different mustard, some stone ground, some English pub style. There were 14 different flavors of fat-free salad dressing and 7 kind of capers. I know, I know a house full of condiments and no real food. The doorman blew his nose and something went into his handkerchief with the good slap of a pitch into a catcher's mitt. You could go up to the 15th floor, the doorman said, but nobody could go into the unit. Police orders. The police had been asking, did I have an old girlfriend who would want to do this? Or did I make an enemy of somebody who had access to dynamite? It wasn't worth going up, the doorman said. All that's left is the concrete shell. The police hadn't ruled out arson. No one had smelled gas. The doorman raises an eyebrow. This guy spent his time flirting with the daymaid and nurses who worked in the big unit on the top floor and waited in the lobby chair for their rides after work. 3 years I lived here, and the doorman still sat reading his Ellery Queen magazine. Every night while I shifted package and bags to unlock the front door and let myself in, the doorman raises an eyebrow and say how some people will go on a long trip and leave a candle. A long, long candle burning in a big puddle of gasoline. People with financial difficulties do this. People who want out from under. Asked to use the lobby phone. A lot of young people try to impress the world and buy too many things, the doorman said. I called Tyler. The phone rang in Tyler's rented house on Paper Street. Oh, Tyler, please, deliver me. And the phone rang. The doorman leaned into my shoulder and said, a lot of young people won't know what they really want and... Oh, Tyler, please rescue me. And the phone rang. Young people, they think they want the whole world. Deliver me from Swedish furniture. Deliver me from clever art. And the phone rang and Tyler answered. If you don't know what you want, the doorman said, you end up with a lot you don't. May I never be complete. May I never be content. May I never be perfect. Deliver me, Tyler, from being perfect and complete. Tyler and I agreed to meet at a bar. The doorman asked for a number where the police could reach me. It was still raining. My Audi was still parked in the lot, but a Takapo halogen torch here was speared through the windshield. Tyler and we met and drank a lot of beer, and Tyler said, yes, I could move in with him, but I would have to do him a favor the next day. My suitcase would arrive with the bare minimum, 6 shirts, 6 pairs of underwear. There, drunk in a bar where no one was watching, and no one would care. I asked Tyler what he wanted me to do. Tyler said, I want you to hit me as hard as you can. I'll give you another little read. Another little music. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am suggesting, hoping that you enjoyed this reading. Please don't hesitate to give me a like or whatever is the stuff that is on whatever social media you are looking at me at. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Discord. This was a reading from Fight Club. I will keep on doing it after I post it on YouTube. And I also do poetry readings with other people, classical poetry of the world in original and in English, and poems that are originally written by original poets. Um, well, if any one of you guys are interested in anything that I just said, please join. And otherwise, I hope you enjoy the reading and the music. Have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may life treat you well and stay healthy. Also, I'll be back later for reading original poems in the evening or before, once I finished eating.